Hi, it's Martin and welcome to another video on my Knit 365 YouTube channel. Today's video is, I think, a project video. We would describe it as, I've got some fibre and we're going to spin it. So I think it's a project video because we're going to make yarn. It's not a project video in the strict sense of how they used to be on this channel, where we would make a jumper or a shawl. But we're going to make some yarn. Yay! And we're gonna do some swatching. I'm very excited. More on the swatches in a bit. But welcome if you are new here. Hi, thank you for stopping by and giving me a little bit of your time today. If you are a returning viewer, of course, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here, as always. So this video, I don't know how long it's gonna be. Will depend on how much spinning I get done, I think. But this is gonna be spinning the Little Grey Girl January fibre set. I am a new spinner. If you want to know more about my spinning journey, hop back and watch some of my previous videos. But this spinning video is going to follow the January fibre prep. And within the mystery club, although it's not really a mystery because Gemma tells you what the colour palette is at the beginning of the month, and then you choose whether to sign up for that club. I am a member. I've signed up for the club and I went for the two-tone fibre option. So this is 100% Blue Face Leicester and we've got this really lovely variegated bluey, creamy, goldy colour alongside this just gold. Now, if Gemma's watching, she will correct me and tell me what the colours actually are. I'm saying it's gold. It probably has a colour name. Yellowy, I was going to say ochre, that's green. Umber, ochre, what am I don't know. Anyway, insert whatever colour you think that is. But I'm a new and enthusiastic spinner and I'm getting better, but it is currently, I don't know when this video is going to go live, but it is currently Tuesday the 25th of February. This was January's club. February's is on its way and I have yet to spin January's. And this is partly why I don't usually do regular clubs, because I don't always stay up to date with making projects. So today's task is to spin this glorious fibre into something. I'm going to do it on 2 bobbins. So we're going to do this one, then this one, and then we're going to barber pole them together. So I'll do a 2-ply and then I'm going to chain ply them together. And hopefully we then get this constant gold with the barber pole in variegated. That's how it is appearing in my head. Will it happen? Who can say? Stay tuned and you're going to find out. But what I want to do is I want to keep practicing my spinning. So the idea behind signing up with Gemma's Fibre Club is that I get to have the fibre every month. And then what I'm going to do, the reason this is a project video, we're going to make the yarn, tick, hopefully. Then I'm going to make some knitted swatches. And I picked up this box. I was doing some research online. And I've got this knitting stitches box by Claire Crompton. Excuse me. And within the box, I haven't opened this yet. Within the box, there are stitch cards. So, for example, let me take the back one out. So the back one is woven fabric or heel stitch. And then what the pattern then tells you, so say I wanted to do this woven fabric stitch, it tells me that I need an odd number of stitches, and then it tells you what to do to create it. And they're broken down by drop stitch and slip stitch patterns. We've got eyelets, we've got cables and fabrics, we've got texture stitches. So let me just pull one of those out. So for example, the gooseberry stitch. So this tells me it's over multiples of 4 plus 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to randomly pick cards from here. So whatever yarn I spin up from this, I'm going to knit it into swatches. And I'm going to do the same every month. So by the time I get to December, can you see where this is going? By the time I get to December, I've then got a load of swatches that I can sew together and turn into a blanket. So it's my year-long blanket project. Now, I haven't done a year-long project for quite a while because I often don't keep up with them. So we'll see what happens with this. But in the knitting, the group chat I've got with some of the dyers, we were talking about different ideas. And the reason swatches came up as a good plan is because my tension at the moment, the yarn I've spun up so far, I'm getting a kind of heavy DK Aran fairly consistent now. But imagine by the summer, and if I was able to spin mystery knit along fingering weight yarn, it's not going to happen. But imagine, let's stay optimistic. Imagine that I am. Imagine then that month's club is probably more like fingering weight. So what I'm going to be able to do by having it as a blanket is I can say, let's go for 20 centimetre square blocks. Let's just say, I haven't done the maths yet, that's going to come up. But let's just say that that's going to be 20 stitches on this Aran weight yarn. By the time I then get to a fingering weight yarn, I could cast on 30 stitches and my blocks would still be 15 by 15. Lots of different texture in my blanket then, because I've got different yarn weights, different stitch techniques. I'm super, super excited, can you tell, by this blanket project. So, my plan every month, commitment, hold me to account, is to spin that month's fibre club and then make the swatches. And they're kind of easy things to do, hopefully in the evenings when I'm a little bit brain dead from work and I want something mindless to do. I am starting a new project, but you know, there you go. Hopefully though, swatches don't take that long. And especially swatches in my hand spun, I think that's going to be really exciting to do. So we'll see how long we keep it up for. Hopefully it will be a year-on-year thing, and there'll be a video every month when I talk about what yarn I've got in my fibre club and what stitches we choose. And I think some stitches will suit the yarn better, so I'm not going to do a random selection. I will try and think about, oh, I did cables last month, so let's do textured this month. I will try and, I'll plan it to be random. I'm not sure I can fully hand over to the box and go completely random. Maybe I could do that. We'll see. Anyway, the longer I stand here chatting to you, the less time I've got spinning. Oh, maybe this can be the thumbnail. So I'm going to... I'm going to get spinning. So I'm going to break these down now. And then just for my own personal technique at the moment, I'm going to break these into two. I'm not quite confident enough yet spinning just this on its own. That's a little bit too thick for me to be drafting. So I think I'll break that in half and then I'll have a go. But if it's anything like the Blue Face Leicester I spun before, it's my favourite thing to spin. But the caveat is, it's the 25th of February and I haven't spun all February. So muscle memory, I haven't actually spun in nearly a month. Which is also why I want to do the fibre club. So I've got new things coming in. I've got lots of fibre, but I bought Unravel those all, didn't I? Anyway, right, I'm going. I'm going to go and do my spinning and I'll spin you around and show you a bit of my drafting. And then we'll make some yarn. I'll be back. We'll do the preparations together. And yeah, hopefully by the end of this video, we'll have some knitted swatches. Stay tuned for this to become... We can't do that and do like an Insta reveal because you need to see the steps. Otherwise, it'll be a really short video. But stay tuned because hopefully this is going to become this. Today's video is sponsored by Craftsy. Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative. And I'm still using Craftsy to progress with my spinning skills as an enthusiastic beginner. I started using Craftsy back in January when I was going through my Spinuary series to learn how to spin, and I'm still finding it a really invaluable resource. Craftsy is always creating new classes to keep you coming back for more and help you stay inspired. Craftsy's professional instructors walk you through each technique with step-by-step demonstrations, providing their expert tips and tricks. You can connect with fellow makers and DIY lovers to ask questions, share ideas, and stay inspired. And as a member, you'll have access to Craftsy's live streaming tutorials where expert instructors share their tips, answer questions, and engage with the Craftsy community in real time. More recently, I've been taking a class by Amy King called Spinning Stupendous Singles. Whether you're a new spinner or an experienced spinner, you will find some spinning content that relates to you. But in addition, there are hundreds of classes from knitting and cooking that will keep you inspired. I can't wait to take the brioche knitting class and help to improve my skills there. The first 1,000 of you to click the link in the video description or scan the QR code that's on screen now will get a full year of premium membership to Craftsy for just $1.49. It's valid for new members only. Thank you to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. I don't do many of these types of sponsorship videos, and I would only share something with you that I found personal value to myself. I've really enjoyed exploring their range of spinning videos, and I hope that you will explore that too. Hello. So, quick check-in. It is now, I don't know what time it is, bear with. Oh, 20 to 9. Well, I've had some food. Mark's not here. He's away with work tonight. I'm looking there because I've turned the phone the other way. Right, I've spun up the first part of the braid. So we've done the golden solid. And then I've broken up the other braid into 4 just to make it a bit easier. I found, because I haven't spun for a while, I was finding I was clumping again and not easily drafting. So I've divided it into 4 to give me thinner strips, which will be easier to draft just to get back in the rhythm. And I knew that this would happen, which is why I need to try and spin a little bit more regularly, because having not spun for 3 weeks, having spun for quite a while, then not spinning for 3 weeks, I've kind of lost a bit of muscle memory. So that's okay. That's why we do practice. So that's my plan. I'm now going to spin through this. I'm going to see how long it takes. It's 8:45. It'll be 8:45 by the time I put this down, spin you around. And I'm watching 24. I'm rewatching 24. Did I say that in previous videos? I'm watching day 4, season 4, I think. We've got 2 episodes to go. Season 3, if you've watched 24, season 3 is like my ultimate favourite. I love it. So I watched season 3 and then I started 4. So I'm just going to finish watching this. So I'll see how many episodes I can get through while I spin. I reckon that's going to take me just over an hour to spin through 50 grams. But we'll see. So that's going to be 1 episode, isn't it? And then, yeah, I want to try and get all that spun tonight. Then the singles can sit here. And then we can ply tomorrow. And then we can niddy-noddy and wash Thursday. And then they're ready for Friday. We're not doing anything this weekend. So then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, get my swatch cards out and I can do a few swatches. That's the plan. But if I keep sitting here chatting to you, I'm not going to get any spinning done. So I'm going to spin you around, pun intended, and let's spin through this. And I'm done. It is actually 9:47, but I finished about 5 minutes ago. I forgot to not stop the clock. I wasn't officially timing myself. It was unofficial. But ta-da! They are done. So they look quite consistent in terms of thickness. And for sure, this multicolored one especially is definitely fingering weight, singles. So I think once again, we're kind of heavy double knit into Aaron. I don't know how you consistently spin lace. It's not on my agenda for the moment, but that's, to get fingering weight yarn, you've got to spin singles lace weight. Wow. But it's done. So I'm really happy considering I haven't spun in 3 weeks. It took me a little while to get going. We have a few broken bits. But we're done. So I've turned the telly off. I'm going to go to bed. It is 10 to 10. I'm going to sit in bed. And now I've talked about bed. Now I'm yawning. Oh, excuse me. Did you see that? I might cut that out. Yeah, I'm going to go to bed. And watch episode 1. I finished 24. And it didn't end how I thought it was going to end. I forgot. For those of you that, if it's so old now, I can't believe this is still going to be a spoiler. But for those of you that have watched it, season 4, there's a foreign embassy who's after him. And I thought that they caught him at the end of 4. And then the end happened. I was like, ah. And I just remember what happened in season 5. So this is why I'm rewatching. Love it. So yeah, right. I'm going to bed. Tomorrow, they'll be plied. I'm very excited to ply them. And then see what we're going to make with our swatch blocks. And I'm not swatching like when you swatch for the project. They just happen to be swatches. I think I'm making squares for the blanket. That's how I need to think about it. Because if I tell myself I'm swatching, it's not going to happen, but you'll see me, I think, plying next. Who can say? I'm just pausing you. Look how thin that ply is. Look. Those are thin plies. Maybe I can get away with doing an M-cal. There's some thick bits coming up though, so that's not consistently that thin, but loving it. Right, you need music again now because I've got 24 on and I can't have you with the music because copywriting. This is also a good angle for hands, not a good angle for me. Right, back to it. I just remembered, real life vlog behind the scenes. I just remembered there's washing in the washing machine that I need to go and hang up. So we have to stop plying to go and hang the washing up. That's why you're here, right? Behind the scenes. Hello. So I'm trying to catch up on some blogging, and it's been a week, if not more, since I picked this lovely gorgeousness up. So I'm not sure what you saw last. I don't think I videoed me niddy noddying. I did that for this way. For Instagram. It's very difficult trying to post on multiple channels. Very first world problems. So this is the finished fibre skein. It looks a bit awkward because I've got it on the wraps per inch. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'll show you it off better in a moment. I'm looking there again because the camera's usually there and it's there. I've got the phone the other way around. But before I then get the winder out and wind this into a ball, just thought I'd do the wraps per inch. So wraps per inch, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 12, which puts it... We've got 12 wraps per inch, which on my little wraps per inch tool that I got from the Pigeon's Nest, the lovely Bex, I've got 12 wraps per inch. So let me put this down. I should have just got my tripod, shouldn't I? It'd been so much easier. So on the wraps per inch, so that is double knit. So 12 to 14 wraps make it a DK. So I reckon it probably is. It is a DK. It feels like a DK. The bit that I keep finding with my handspun is when I wash it and it blooms, it was definitely in the finger into DK weight. It's been washed, it's bloomed, it's now a DK / an Aran, but that's okay. I'm still learning. So we've got a DK weight. So I'm going to wind this up. So it is Friday, the something of March. Yeah. I'm going to wind this up now, and then I'm going to have the rest of the evening doing a little swatching and a little planning for my blanket. So let's wind this up. Will I actually swatch? So if it's a heavy DK, let's say it's a heavy DK to an Aran, that's going to be a 4mm needle. Fingering 4-ply weight, I use a 3.5mm. When I've done DK, 4 to 4.5. So there are a few chunky bits. It's natural, it's hand spun. So there are a few chunky bits, which actually you can see in that portion there. There are quite a few bits that are quite thin. So I think I'm going to do this as, probably I'll start it on a 4mm or a 4.5. Probably a 4, and then we'll see what happens. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the box out in a minute, and I'm going to have a look at picking a stitch pattern. Each of my blankets each of my squares, I know this for definite, are going to have a garter stitch border around them. So whatever the swatch tells me to cast on to make that pattern, I'm going to cast on, I'll work out the multiples, and then I'm going to cast on 6 extra stitches. So there'll be 3 stitches either side. There will always be knit stitch. So that gives me a garter border, and then I'll do 3 rows on the bottom. And I think that'll just make it a little bit easier when I come to sew them up. So I want my blanket squares to be approximately 20 by 20 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cast on, roughly then put a tape measure over the cast on. And if it's about 18 centimeters, I think once I then knit that row, it'll be 20-ish. So we'll work out how many stitches there are. So I'm going to make some progress on that. You don't need to see me work out all those maths. And then the tongue will be out as I'm concentrating. So I'm going to do the maths, and then when I've got, I still looking there. You're in the wrong place. I'm still, I'll pop back in a minute and I will show you my progress. But let's go and wind this. Cast on, start swatch. I'm going to go with a 4mm. It may need to be a 4.5 to get a nice drape on the blank. Maybe we'll do 4.5. Let's do 4.5, start the swatch, and we'll see. I'll be back. Stay tuned. Will it be a 4? Will it be 4.5? Could even be a 5. Who can say? Hello. Right, you're back that side now because I'm filming a couple of videos, and there was one video and I just kept looking in the wrong direction. I think it was this video. Anyway, we have had a wine and a Negroni. Great Friday night. So I should have done a spoiler, shouldn't I? I finished my first swatch. Look at this. That is my hand spun that I spun myself. I'm very proud. So my first square is, hello, done. And yeah, I really like the subtle striping, the little gold colour effect. So now we have a problem. So I used a 5mm. And I think the 5mm was the better choice because actually it's quite a nice, it's not too dense a fabric. However, this is 31 grams of yarn. This that I have left, 62 grams of yarn. So I have this much contingency. So if I was to make another 2 of these, I should just, as long as my cast on and my cast offs are the same, then I should just have enough. But as I said earlier in the video, what I want to do is every month I want to have a flat swatch so that you can kind of see how the colours look like that. And then I want to do some swatching for my swatching box. So in the group chat, because of course I'm a bit of a stress head, so now I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I called the blanket the Mensa blanket because there's now like a lot of math. So we've selected this lace pattern. So this is the Old Shale pattern, and it's got this really lovely effect in the middle. So I'm going to do this one because my thinking is this is lace, so might use less yarn. If I can get the next one out on 28 or 29 grams, I'm going to do a really short cast on. Because when I sew them all together, I'll use some form. I thought about getting just a plain yarn and spinning something up specifically for the joins. So that's like a December problem. January, no. What day is it now? This is the January club that I'm filming in March. March, Martin doesn't need to worry about that now. December, Martin needs to worry about that. So if I can get this one out in 28, 29 grams, then the remainder of this, I can do one of the textured stitch patterns, because these textured patterns are going to use more yarn than a normal stocking stitch pattern. So I feel like I've introduced some mild peril, certainly into my life, whether you folks are feeling the mild peril. Mark is like, can you just cast on a swatch so we can finish watching the Traitors? We're watching Traitors US. I do have a small bit of contingency because when I was winding my, plying my singles, I had something left over on my, the solid colour. So I've got like this much that I treated the same, because why would it not be treated the same? So I've actually plied it on itself. I did a centre pull ball, I plied it on itself, and I've washed and dried it. So I do have a little extra yarn, but of course that would add like a golden fleck across the top. So we've got a small bit of contingency, but for this year-long blanket project, I would love out of one braid to get 3 squares, because then I've got 3 times 12, which I can't do in my head, 36, can't do in my head. That's a nice size for the blanket. So I'm gonna go and cast on this. I'm obviously not gonna reveal the pattern, but this is an 18 stitch repeat. So I need to cast on 18 plus 1. This swatch is 30. So if I do my 19 stitches, I've got 3 stitches either side, 19, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 27, 28, 29, 30. I think it's that. I see. So I'm going to cast on my 30. I'm going to do my beginning. And I think then we should just get this section that sits here in the middle of the swatch. So we will see what happens, but I'll probably be back tomorrow now because it's gone 9 o'clock. So I'll check in the morning with how I've got on, but hopefully we've done another swatch. And then we're going to weigh this, and then we'll see together how that's going to look. So stay tuned. Good morning, good morning. So the morning after the night before, I stopped. We were at the bottom of the second bottle of red wine, so I stopped knitting lace. I didn't think that was a good idea to carry on, but I've just had a bit of a knitting session this morning, and ta-da, I finished swatch number 2. So we've got this really cool lace pattern. And it's pretty much the same size as swatch number 1, which is great. It's a little bit, I don't know what word I'm trying to, scrunched in the middle, but when that blocks out, it'll block fine and it'll really open the lace out. So I'm quite pleased so far. I made this yarn. So 2 swatches done. And then on yarn management, this was also 34 grams bob on, or 32 grams, whatever I just said was the measurement. So I did show you that tiny little bit of not waste yarn, but it was where my singles on my solid, I had slightly more. This is quite dense. I don't know why. This one on its own, when I've plied it, I think I've overplied it. It's not really twisty, but it's really stiff. Whereas this is quite squishy. So I'm not sure if that's something when I've plied it, but there we go. But just to make sure that I have enough yarn, what I did do is I got to the top of this section, I weighed it, realized I was getting close to the halfway mark on that ball that was left. So I did do just 2 rows in the gold color. From a distance, it kind of stands out because it's such a solid color compared to the variegated. In a big blanket, you're not going to notice it. So I'm happy with that. And what that means is now, with what I've got left and what I've got left, I've now got 40 grams and I need 36. So I think, fingers crossed, we're going to be okay. So I've had a little rifle through the stitch pack again, and I'm going to do this one, the ladder stitch. So because I'm running out of yarn, I'm hoping this isn't mild peril throughout the entire year. And every time I work on this blanket, I'm going to be close, because then I want to do some cables and things. So we'll see. I can try and spin thinner to give me more meterage, but then I need to watch my tension. So whereas I've cast on 30 stitches, if my yarn was a proper DK rather than a DK Aran, I might need to cast on 32 or 33 stitches, or maybe go down a needle size. I need to work that. That's a next month problem. So we'll see. But I'm going to do this one. I think that's a really cute stitch, the ladder stitch. And because I'm doing these on 30 stitches, this is a 10 stitch repeat. So I'll have my 3 stitches, 2 stitches, then I'll do double ladder, 2 stitches, 3 stitches. So I still get my border. And I'll just pop some stitch markers in. That's what I actually did with this one. This was just one of the panels. So I just popped a stitch marker in either side. But because this one is a slightly narrower stitch, I'll repeat it twice. So yeah, I'm gonna go and do that one. So I am happy because I think this video is gonna be a full project vlog, where I said at the beginning, it may not be, depends how much progress I make. I think I can get this one done today. So I've got my yarn. I really hope to try and get it all out of this one without having to use that, but we'll see. So let's go and cast on and have a go at this stitch. We've reached the end of the video because I have my swatches, ta-da! And I've said this so many times in previous videos, I am notoriously bad at estimating yarn. So this is what I have left. So I think it's about 8 grams. So I was just okay, but I did use a little bit of this solid gold, which is why I think I've got a little bit of this left. And that's okay, because I think I've been able to mix and match them really well. So you've seen the solid square. And I think I'm going to do this now. Every fibre that I get, I'm going to knit one in a solid so that we get to just see the variegation in the yarn and how that looks when I've finished it. And I said before, I've kind of got some garter stitch on the top and the edges, which kind of stops the curling a little bit. And it'll also make it a little easier for me to sew up. I can just bump the garter bumps together. And I've slipped the first stitch just to make that a little bit more pronounced to help with the sewing. Then you saw me do swatch number 2, which was this lacy pattern. So that will block out lovely with the lace. Hello, can see you through there. And obviously I did the solid gold stripe, which I think will be fine on a big blanket. It won't be a problem at all. And then square number 3, I did this ladder stitch, which gives you this kind of texture here. So you can see this kind of central column. It doesn't necessarily show up as well in what's quite a heavily variegated yarn for that stitch type. But in reality, the purl bumps are really standing out quite well. So again, with this one, I cast on with the solid gold. So my first row here is in the gold, and then I switched into the variegated. Oh, I didn't pull my end through. There we go. So yeah, finito. So what I did do is I weighed my wool left and I had 9 grams left. Then I did a row and I weighed it again and I had 8 grams left. So it was about 1 gram per row plus the bind off. So yeah, I've probably got about 5 or 6 grams left. What I will do is I will keep these because these could potentially be used for joining up the squares, or maybe if by the end of the year I've got lots of 8 or 9 grams, maybe I'll have enough to make a Frankenstein square then, and I can do another square in all of the random colours and just stripe them, perhaps. We'll see. So there we go. I have 3 swatches, and that was my plan, to get at least 3, and I had no idea how much yarn I was going to use, what needle size. I ended up doing it on a 5mm needle. They have got a little bit of stretch to them. The fabric isn't too dense at all, and I think they'll be really lovely. I think earlier in the video I talked about, do I do it on a 4 or 4.5? Shall I swatch? I didn't. So I did this on a 5mm, and I actually really like the fabric, and I think for the blanket they will be really lovely together. I'm gonna need a lot of these squares, so I think if I can get 3 every month, obviously that gives me 36 squares, which isn't a bad size blanket at all. That could be a really nice size lap blanket, but we'll see. If I do 36 squares, I'm going to need to mix and match, because 3 like that, that's not very wide. And then 12 high is going to be really long. So it's going to be like a rectangle. And I don't think that's what I want. So what I do need to think about is how I do my placement. As in, do I have these 3 and then I'll put in another block so it's 5 wide, or maybe 6 by 6 and make it square. I'm not sure yet. And if I'm honest, that's December Martin's problem, because for now we're just going to make swatches each month. I'm not even going to block them, because I think if I block them, again, they're just going to get thrown in the corner. So what I'll do is, at some point when I get towards kind of November time and I've got a big chunk of these, I'll have a bit of a blocking day. I've got 9 square mats plus some really big ones, so I can block them all in one go probably. Then I can make sure that they're all the same size, so if my tension on my spinning does change and they get thinner and I've had to make slightly larger squares, by blocking them all in one go, I can work out what size. At the moment, I think they're going to be about 25 centimeters, so I cast on 30 stitches. So we will see what that looks like. But that's the end of this video. I hope that you've enjoyed following along with a bit of spinning. And this is the first time I've properly used my hand spun. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's a wonderful color. So yeah, I will try and do these every month. So we'll get the color of the month and then we'll work through it. We'll get our knitting stitches dictionary out, which is this awesome packet by Claire Compton. And yeah, join me next month. Thank you once again to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. Please check out that link below if you are interested in signing up for a Craftsy subscription. It's really, really helped me with my spinning. And I'm only ever going to talk about products or services on the channel that have helped me personally that I think would help you. So I still am watching lots of the spinning videos. I've been watching some of the knitting videos. So thank you again to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. And yeah, I will be back next week with a video of some kind. I'm not sure what it will be yet, but I hope that you'll join me then. So thank you very much for being here and giving me a little bit of your time today. So until we speak again, happy crafting.